I'm here on the back seat with Dr. George Njenga, a good friend of mine. He's called the Laughing Dean, the founding dean of Strathmore
I'm not
Business
too sure
School.
about that, but fine.
He's going to laugh, wait and see. And in just 10 years, he has brought it to a place of world-class recognition. Now, full disclosure, I'm a friend of George's. I'm a member of the school's advisory board. But I think there's an achievement here which needs wider airing and for people to learn some lessons from. So here he is, George Njenga. Welcome to the back seat.
Thank you, Sonny.
So George, we met, I think it was 10 years or so years ago.
2005, 2006.
Yes,
Yes.
11 years ago. And I was told there's somebody who's going to set up the best business school in the region and you need to go and talk to him. So I showed up and I found you sitting in one tiny office behind the university library, I think it was.
Unknown,
Yes.
with no money.
With no money, with 2 or 3 people working
Yes.
for you, sort of, but a big dream. But now 10 years later, you have quite an achievement on your hands. You have a state-of-the-art facility. You have got a very good faculty team assembled now. You have partnerships with some of the world's most renowned institutions, the SA Business School, Harvard, business education of a very high standard being produced. How does it feel to you as the man who was dreaming and can now sit back and look at it?
Rewarding, that is the first thing. You feel rewarded that your dream has come true. Though the dream was not about being top in the world, it was not about being seen, being recognized. It was never that. And because of that, I want to thank all those who've been a part of the story, the narrative of Strathmore Business School. I think I one day woke up and I felt that our top executives, especially in the private sector, were never going to invest in education. We're never going to invest in building institutions that will remove Africa from poverty, will bring in good governance to society. I saw weaknesses in the boards of institutions. I asked, could I start a business school from Strathmore University? And to cut a long story short, it took a long time for them to grasp what I was saying. But what I really wanted was a school that would remind Africans that Africa can only be built by Africans. And that the leaders must be the first to step up. And that leadership, and especially institutional leadership and institutional building, required that most of our executives go back to school. To go back to school for most of our executives at that time in 2005 was ridiculous. To go to conferences, yes, but to hone their skills in business, to change the idea that boards should be filled up by cousins and uncles, and brothers and village mates, and that the best business you can do is to make deals with the government. All these things were burning. When you look at a society that only 2% is properly educated, skilled, even less, skilled from a global perspective, it makes you think that you have to do your part and you can no longer keep quiet about it. And what's the best way to do that? I thought then that the best way was wake up the leaders, because it's not a matter of not knowing. It's a matter of probably not honing that emotional part of their life that makes them responsible to society.
So you were a man on a mission.
I'm on a mission, totally. Boy, am I on a mission.
But when you got going,
you
had no money. You wanted to build a state-of-the-art, campus. You wanted to get top faculty in. Must be lots of sleepless nights and hitting your head against walls. How does one persist through all that?
Perseverance. I think the greatest word in leadership is, first of all, to have a clear focus of where you're going. And obviously, hopefully, you have passion for it. Some called me dreamers, some told me, you're gonna fail. I went to the business industry. I got very good support from key CEOs. I remember those days I went to the CEO of East African Breweries, to the CEO of Kenya Airways, to Sunny Binga, to even top people like Baroness Linda Choka. Okay, people who understood what a business school was from an international perspective and who felt there was a chance here. And when they told me it is possible and it is needed, I needed no other encouragement. They were the ones who are holding probably the largest businesses in Eastern Africa.
Yes.
They were the people who had been educated outside the country. By the way, that's another thing. It always hurt me to think that for us Africans, we are not going to build our educational institutions so that we may send our children abroad.
10 years later, from the time you started the school,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talk of Africa rising, and there's lots of good news in terms of GDP growth, in terms of connectivity, new infrastructure, all sorts of possibilities available to Africans that weren't there before. But we still have civil wars, we still have entrenched corruption, we still have various seemingly intractable problems. What is your view on all this? Is it rising or falling, or how are we doing?
Right now, thinking about the higher state, do you know that the Africa CEO Forum is being held in Switzerland, Geneva? Why aren't they in Africa? Why would an Africa CEO Forum be in Europe?
Yes.
And our CEOs are in Geneva. But probably it's because we do not have a good environment for conferencing here in Africa. And probably to go with it, there isn't good
or
security.
perhaps we just feel the status of doing this in Switzerland as opposed to where we should do it.
No. Businesses want to know about Africa.
Right.
If they have an African CEO Forum, it's not because they want to use romantic words.
Yes.
It's because they're interested in the big business of Africa.
Yeah.
But why aren't they here? And I was just trying to enumerate what should be rising in Africa. That is, probably would have some of the best conferencing facilities in certain centers like Nairobi. Probably we should be very healthy. So our agricultural and food corporation should ensure that every food that is put on the table for certain people has a point of origin and enumerated so that people don't get food poisoning. What about the transportation to Kenya? What about the hotel facilities and what do they offer? And how expensive are they? You see, Africa Rising is a narrative that will be there for a long time until we begin answering these core questions.
So the core questions still stand.
Very significant.
The fundamentals still need to be.
The fundamentals are still not met. Yeah.
What next 10 years later, George? What next for the business school? Where do you want it to go from here? Now that you've achieved the milestone of 10 years
Yes.
and you have certain accomplishments under your belt, what do you think for the next 10?
When I started the business school, I don't think I ever told you about starting School of Global Health.
No.
So 3 years later, I founded the Institute of Healthcare Management. And it's about 2 years away from becoming the Strathmore School of Global Health.
Oh.
It could be that it will take longer depending on people and infrastructure and money. But I'm gradually thinking within the next 5 years we should be having it. Yeah.
So you're the sort of person whose eye moves from one challenge to another.
Now the second thing, and that goes also for the Institute of Public Policy, by the way, which will become the School of Government, Strathmore School of Government, later on in 2 years' time. Actually, we've given it 1.5 more years. Then we have to build the community in Eastern Africa. So I've already, thanks to some donors, like the financial sector deepening, the UK aid, we've started offices in Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So all our executive education and training for managers, from the young manager to the top CEOs. If that becomes probably in the next 10 years, if these things become a reality, then I'd like to go back and sit and teach.
Your original...
You know, my original design has always to be a teacher, simple teacher.
Right, but the dreams keep coming, huh?
The problem is that when you are given a gift, you don't realize that the halter has a horse and the horse has a cart, and the cart has a halter behind it.
Right.
And another horse and another cart. They keep coming. They keep coming.
But you keep laughing through it all, so that's good.
Because you know, at the end of the day, you must realize that no matter how big your dreams are, if people don't support you, if you don't have friends along the way, and thank you, Sunny, for having me there all along. if you don't have governments that think you're doing something good, the Minister of Education was there, and you should have heard the great comments about innovation and strategy and focusing on the problems of our countries.
George, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for being on the back.
Great.
Education is the key. Africans, all Africans, need to be free of ignorance, able to discern and choose, and have marketable skills. Dr. George Njenga is doing a great deal to make that happen. As you saw, he exudes passion for his subject and his mission. Strathmore, the school, the university, the business school, has come a long way in a short time because of a small group of highly committed people. George's key contribution has been to the business school, something I watched him start from scratch just a few years ago, which he has nursed all the way to a state-of-the-art, highly ranked facility and faculty, and one entering into partnerships with the world's leading institutions. I hope the key lesson did not escape you. If your mission is clear, you have to move mountains to deliver it. Clarity of purpose and the will to make it happen. That's the difference. See you next time on The Backseat.